Now, to introduce our speaker, we have Reggie Calhoun Jr. with us. He serves as the Director of Football, NIL, and Revenue Sharing for the Colorado Buffaloes. An athlete development specialist, Reggie is a former student athlete whose passion is advocacy for athletes for their development as people. NIL is changing the game, giving athletes the chance to build their own brand and create something bigger than sports. But let's be honest, not every athlete gets the same shot. Too many are overlooked or misunderstood because they don't fit the mold. This session is about changing that. We'll talk about how your identity, your culture, your background, your values can set you apart and make your brand unforgettable. For athletes, it's about owning your story and turning it into real opportunities. For schools, brands, and collectives, it's about creating partnerships that reflect those who reflect these athletes, who these athletes truly are and what they bring to the table. This session isn't about fluff, it's about practical steps and real examples you can use to create something that lasts. Whether you're an athlete looking to build your brand or a stakeholder trying to support them the right way, this is the conversation that you need to be a part of. And with that, I'll turn it over to Reggie Calhoun Jr.
Appreciate you guys. Like she said, I'm Reggie Calhoun Jr. I want to open this up literally just asking you guys, do y'all recognize anybody on this screen? Jeannie Buss, yep. Who else? Huh? LeBron, yep. Magic, that's the man. Serena and Venus. What do all these people have in common on this page? Millionaires, they got a little money, right? They famous, right? My favorite person on here, though, is Ryan Reynolds. Why? Y'all want to take a quick guess? Deadpool, he owns a soccer team. So he used his NIL to become a billionaire. Not through acting, though. He bought a cell phone company using his NIL, shot the commercials as if he was a talent in the commercial, leveraged that cachet, became a billionaire. Then he bought a team. That team is now on Netflix. So his NIL was used to purchase a company. LeBron James on it, NIL. Magic Johnson, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones played football back when they had the leather helmets, right? But then he ended up buying a sports team. He leveraged the fact that he was friends with a guy in college, they were teammates, and made him his first coach. So NIL wasn't a thing back then, but later on he used the fact when he was in college, he had relationships, he built his empire with sports, right? And Miss Buss, her last name puts her in a great driver's seat. So her name, and she's really good at what she does too. So we're here today, we're talking about inclusion, right? So I believe that all athletes should own your identity and own the game. A lot of you guys are in a prime position. A lot of coaches are in a prime position to assist your athletes in being authentic, right? I came up here, it's a nice formal setting, but I had a hat on, I wear jeans, right? But I'm authentically me. But I also know what I'm talking about too, so you can't just be authentic and not know what's going on too, right? So my job here is to teach you guys how to control your future in NIL, because everybody thinks NIL is one thing. Let's get this clear first and foremost. NIL is not a thing, it's you. It needs a system though. You don't do NIL. Right? The internet tells everybody, oh, the NIL, you're going to do NIL. I'm going to pay you NIL. You're going to do NIL. I want to do NIL. You can't do your name, image, and likeness. It's who you are. Make sense? All right. So here's what's crazy. You don't participate in NIL. You build it. You build your name. You build your image. You build your likeness. You don't participate in NIL. So my goal today is to teach you guys how to build that, right? Because in the reality, NIL is not inclusive. Did y'all hear me? Did y'all hear me? NIL is not inclusive, but it's open to everybody, right? So NIL wasn't built to be fair. NIL was not set up for everybody to do the exact same thing. Everybody has a different name. Everybody's from different cities, states, neighborhoods, socioeconomics, right? So if we're looking at it from the standpoint of my name, my image, my likeness, my culture, what I believe, what I want to do, what I'm majoring in, it's me. So NIL is not a thing where everybody gets to get the exact same results, because if I do more than you, there's no way that we should be getting the same, right? Magic Johnson is not going to say you should get what he get, and he's been doing this for 40 years, right? So I want you guys to look at it, the opportunities for everyone to get a chance. How many of you guys are athletes in here? How many of y'all have received any type of NIL deal? Any type of NIL opportunity? How many people have a name in Boulder? Like if you walk outside right now, they know who you are. What happens if you go back home? How many folks know you back home? When you go back home, they're like, hey, how's school? No? So y'all just a bunch of nobodies. Is that what we're saying right now? Is that what we're saying? Everybody, nobody has that. There's a name in here. Everybody go back home and you're a ghost, right? All right, I'm gonna yell out. So we're gonna talk about how you guys are gonna build this game and win it on your terms, right? So NIL to some in this industry makes it feel like it's unfair. They say, how come the guys get all of the money? How come the guys get all the deals? How come the football team gets all the love? Well, that's because the industry is talking to you guys as if NIL is a thing to do and not you, if that makes sense, right? So because it becomes a thing to do and they're attaching it to the most popular names, they're attaching it to the most popular sport, it seems like NIL is just so out of reach for everybody. How come I'm not getting $1 million deal? Just tell you the truth. Nobody's getting $1 million deal in college. Just let y'all know that. So, and then schools, they just fall into the trap too. Well, we're gonna just pay the teams that make the money. So now we're convoluting what NIL is and what branding is and what revenue share is. It's a bunch of things that they're all separate. They're not the same, right? And then a lot of athletes don't know how to position yourself. I asked you guys, how many of y'all have a name back home? I have a methodology. I believe that every athlete should build their brand back home. You 100% have a fan base at home. At least 10 people know you at home, I hope. 10? Mom, dad, uncle, cousin, somebody? Oh, right? So positioning yourself, I believe you start local, build regional, then you go national. When you guys heard NIL in 2021, the first thing you wanted to do was go get a Nike deal. You wanted to go get Starbucks deal. You wanted to go get the national chains when they don't know what they're doing. You don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what you bring, right? So NIL kind of got messed up for everybody simply because athletes didn't know how to position themselves. So the media just did what they do all the time. Go to the thing that makes sense, the flashy, the most known, and the easy, low-hanging fruit. The athletes who are seen and scoring touchdowns and dunking on the basketball. But even they don't have a brand because they don't know what they're doing either. But the media just says, okay, well, at least we know him. We could just put money there. We're still not doing the NIL. We're still not owning the game. We're still being played. And I'm saying we because I believe I'm an athlete still at heart, although I'm almost 40. So the reality is this. The NIL does not promise equal results, but it does give you guys an opportunity to say, I'm going to build me. I'm going to build me, and I'm going to get in this game and the game that I want to get in, right? Who in here majoring in anything in technology? Science? Okay. There's a lane for you in NIL through the science side. But we're not looking at the things that we do every day as an opportunity to build my NIL within my major. We want to go outside of what we're already known for to try to do something that we got to go restart, right? Like LeBron James is a basketball player. He used his basketball cachet to get into companies that he believed in. Blaze Pizza. He didn't want to do McDonald's anymore because he wanted to be healthy. So he believed in Blaze Pizza because of the healthy side of it, not because he just liked pizza, all right? Magic Johnson has all these Starbucks. So Magic Johnson is one of the only franchisee owners of Starbucks. And they're all in neighborhoods that Starbucks does not tap into, the hood. He wanted to give luxury coffee to neighborhoods that don't have the access to that. It's not that he just loved coffee. He had an idea, this is my name, my image, my likeness. I want to be known for providing luxury to my communities. So I'm going to attach my name to this company here and deliver results to my community. He used his name to become one of the only franchisee owners, because they don't do franchises. But he was able to leverage his cachet being an athlete, star athlete with the Lakers. Now he's over 300 stores. Simply by using who he was as a basketball player. Everybody in this room has an opportunity to do that. Even if you want to get a job, it's the same concept. Your resume says XYZ. When you go interview, they're going to interview you. It doesn't matter how many honor society hours you have, how many community service things you've done. They're going to ask you, so tell me a little bit about you. That's the first thing they say, right, in an interview. Tell me a little bit about you. When was the last time you did this? If you were in a situation like this, when you saw a coworker, when they asking about you, because they're hiring you. So in the branding deals in the NIL space, you understand the system. Companies want to work with you, not with you dancing on TikTok. Feel me? Because you dancing on TikTok, but you're really a recluse, it's going to seem forced and weird and ad-like because you don't believe in the dances. You just thought that's what you had to do to get an NIL deal. That's why a lot of times you guys don't get the money that you're looking to receive. It's not because of the sex and because you're a woman and he's a male and he plays football and you play soccer. It's simply because the deal you're chasing doesn't fit you, so you're not going to get the ROI you're looking for because you're forcing something that doesn't fit. So you don't know what to ask for. All right? My whole career has been around sports, whether it was coaching, training, mentoring, education, technology. I've always found ways to tie back to sports. How do athletes get into tech? How do athletes get into entrepreneurship? How do athletes get into finances? How do athletes go international? How do athletes own real estate? It's literally, I only wanted to be in the athletic space. I owned that lane. Athlete development is what I wanted to do. It didn't exist, and now it's a thing. So you have to know exactly what you want to do and how you want to make it work. All right? So the systems for athletes, guys, NIL isn't about waiting on deals. You don't show up to Colorado and wait on a deal. Same way you don't show up to, you don't go on LinkedIn and hope the company says, hey, you're looking for a job. You're putting yourself in position. And you're not applying to just any job, right? When y'all leave school, or coaches, when y'all go and recruit athletes, you're not just going to recruit everybody. You're looking for a specific athlete. When you're going to apply for a job, you're looking for a specific job. So with your NIL, you know, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for, this is where I'm from, on my cultural values, this is what I want to do. It's not sitting around waiting for a brand to just show up and say, hey, you scored 2 goals. We really want to give you a deal. It's not how this works, all right? So I created a system where it actually ensures you guys move from being just a player to a brand owner. You can be a brand owner in your job. I work here. But if you go on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, and my Twitter, and my YouTube, you get me. You don't get me to see you employee. You get Reggie Calhoun Jr. All right? So when I address myself as my name. My name is Reggie Calhoun Jr. I don't shorten it. I don't make it cool. Because when you address me, you're going to address me by the brand name that I want to be called by. Right? King James. Showtime Magic. Right? Mr. Jones. Nobody really calls Jerry Jones Jerry. They always call him Mr. Jones. So, but my goal is to teach you guys that. So here's the first thing. So in 5 steps, so it's ownership. You guys really have to own who you are. Define that. Who are you? This is not a brand session. Just let's make that clear. This is literally challenging you guys to understand you have a short runway, 4 years, to own who you are. Because when you leave here, people need to know who you are. They will not care what you did in athletics. I promise you. Care how many highlight tapes you post. They don't care. Magic Johnson did not go in and start the Starbucks and say, look at my behind-the-back pass against the Atlanta Hawks. I guarantee you that didn't work. Okay? So owning it, like define your story, right? So my story is always this. Reggie Calhoun Jr. from New Orleans, Louisiana. I went to 4 high schools in 4 years, 4 different states. My dad was in the military. I joined the military. I'm a 10-year Army vet. I love sports. I played ball in college too. I broke some records. and I really love helping athletes transition from sports to real life. I say this all day. It's the same thing. 4 high schools, 4 years, 4 different states. 4 high schools, 4 years, 4 different states. And if I go back home, I'll say, oh, and Katrina was my senior year in high school. Just to have that relatability when I go back home. Because if I go to New Jersey, nobody knows what Katrina is. So I have to say Hurricane Katrina, right? So you gotta make it specific. But being able to know your story gets you into the room where they know who you are, name, where you're from, and what have you done. What led you to this stage? Me going to four high schools in 4 years in 4 different states got me on this stage. Because I was always the new guy that used sports to connect. And that just became my business, which became my career. I got a job doing that, using sports to connect people in the community, right? So you gotta own that and be cool. Be cool. When I go to high schools, I mention that I stutter. Because somebody in the crowd has an impediment and a disability, whatever, this gives them confidence to say, oh, if he on stage, he's talking and he stutters. Wow, what can I do? I own that. I don't run from it, right? And then leverage. I play ball. I was really good. I could say, go Google me, man. Go look up my highlight tape. That's my leverage. But I could also say, I've been doing business for 10 years. I've done international business with governments in Africa, Haiti, and DR. Go look it up. It's leverage. That gets me to a table. Now, that's all it gets. Because after that, why are you here? And then that's when you start talking, right? And that's when you have vision. When I came here last year, my vision was to learn the college system, learn how they view NIL, learn who the stakeholders were, learn the players, understand what I'm actually trying to get into. Because when you're an entrepreneur trying to get into the school, you think everything is one way. But when you come behind the wall, you realize a lot of things you thought was happening in the school is actually complete opposite. So I wanted to know, which then turned into something that I never thought I would do. I actually worked for the school. That was never what I wanted to do, right? They always say you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So now I work for the school. It's crazy. And then you want to lead that. Once I announced that I was an official employee here, every athlete, every friend, every colleague that I mentored sent me a message, either thanking me, congratulating me, or asking me how they do what I did. Because I'm leading my space. What can you guys do? Who can you lead? How will you lead? So when we're talking about inclusion, you have to first own who you are first to even be included into a conversation. It's not just a give me. It's not just sit around and wait. It's literally, who are you? And what do you want to do? What's your vision for your life, right? And then grow. How do you take what you've done here, whether athletically, academically, professionally, branding, marketing, monetarily, how do you grow that outside of these walls? Because I don't think y'all going to be here for 50 years, so you have to take something with you to grow, right? So ask yourself these 3 things. What 3 words define you? Somebody asks you, who are you? What will you tell them? You got 10 seconds to give them 3 things about you. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to ask. Because we never took time to say, who am I? We wait for people to tell us who we are, and then we kind of just roll with that and build on that. And then we wonder why we keep starting over and over and over again, right? Now, if sports ends today, how will your brand continue? This goes for coaches and players. During COVID, I told this group of coaches in this session, I said, you guys tell these athletes all the time, have a plan B. What if sports ends? What if sports ends? I said, well, coach, if sports ends, you don't have a job either. So what you gonna do? What's your job? It's like we know what to say, but then we don't look back and say, you know what? What am I gonna do? What is my brand? I can coach. I don't wanna coach, but I have that choice because I own what I wanna do. But if all you know is coaching, and if sports ends one day, like you tell your athletes, what's your brand? Who are you when it's all over with? If COVID happens again and there's a year over and it's a year off, what are you doing? Reading playbooks for what game? Watching film, you can't go recruit. So what are you going to do? Who are you? Who is your brand? That's NIL. And then what legacy are you building outside of sports? I go back to my alma mater every year, and I walk in, and I never say, I played here. I walk in, I meet all the guys. Then I say I played here. Because they don't really care what I did in 2012. That was, for them, that was 50 years ago. Me, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I love you guys. I support you guys. My name is Reggie Calhoun Jr. Whatever y'all need, I got it. Oh, and by the way, if you check the record books, my name is right there, number 1. Just go look at that. By the way, so real quick, the NIL trap. You guys sign every deal that come your way. I hate that. I despise that because you just signing stuff because you have no ownership of what you want to do. So any deal that comes to you, you say yes. Just because you're trying to do NIL. You're trying to do NIL. So you sign any deal. And then they give you a contract that you didn't read. You went all the way down to Exhibit A and said, oh, $10,000. Got it. And you just signed over your name, your image, your likeness in perpetuity because you're doing NIL. You're not building your NIL. You're doing it, right? And then you're thinking the NIL money is long-term wealth. $10,000 one time for a company that's going to use that 100 times? I think we all in college, we know how the math works, right? You got 10,000, they're going to use it 100 times. It's not equal, right? And then you depend on the school. This is where my talk about inclusion comes in. Who cares what the school is doing for you? You have this platform. You have an opportunity to be a collegiate athlete. Use that in your branding. Use that in your marketing. Use that in your story. When you sit across from a company, you can literally say, I'm a collegiate athlete for the Buffaloes, but this is who I am. This is who I am. And not get upset that the school is not pubbing you. Like, would you pub you? Would you promote you? If somebody came to you and said, hey, you should promote me. You should post me on your story. Some of y'all don't post your boyfriend and girlfriends on the story. So, I mean, it's kind of like, why would I post you if I don't really know you like that? You got to give people something to post. You got to give people something to support. Because believe it or not all football players are making money. Believe it or not, like everybody's not just getting money. They have something that they offer that we give in exchange. But in all reality, despite what the media says, everybody's not getting money. Trust me, I write the contracts. I know I'm not getting paid. And then you fail to control your brand image. This is more so to my football guys too. Just because your friend has a party back home and they send you the flyer, don't mean you share it. I love you. Congratulations. Good luck. Because guess what? You're the big fish. If something happens there, guess what? You endorsed that. So whatever happened at the party, you could be here. Whatever happened is yours. Companies that, if you don't like cigarettes, why would you work with a company who does that? If you're not a dog lover, why would you go get a dog in an NIL? Because if you mess up one deal, this industry talks. I promise you, they talk. That's why the same people get the deals, because they do it right. And everybody say, hey, man, I saw you worked with Reggie. How was it? Oh, man, he's amazing. He's smart. He's professional. He's handsome. He's from Louisiana. This guy's amazing. Oh, great. They don't say all that. Well, maybe they might. Who knows? But I control what I want to do. You go to my page. Everything on my page is red, black, and white. Those are my colors. When I first came in last year and I wore like a brown suit, people DM me was like, I didn't know you had anything outside of red, black, and white. I said, yeah, I got a brown suit. One of them. Got a brown shirt too. Y'all have indoctrinated me as CCU, just so you know that. So here's the fix. Instead of chasing random endorsement deals, build revenue streams, right? If I go home, if you go home, there's a company at home who really wants to work with you. I'm about to give you guys a tip on how to get 30 grand in the NIL deal back home. Every company has $30,000 in an NIL deal for you. It's called their marketing budget. That's $2,500 a month. Guess what you're going to do for them? Promote them. Guess what you were doing when you was in high school? Promoting for them for free. Hey, Company X, I would love to work with you. I'll give you 2 social media posts. I'll show up one time a quarter for $30,000. There's no company in America that will say no. Want to know how I know this? Because I come from the entrepreneur space. I would love to work with an athlete who's from the area because y'all have the influence. And 30 grand, if I'm making 50, 60, it's an even trade. I'm in the green. But you can't go to Nike and say, work with me. They're going to give you shoes and probably a couple hoodies. So don't wait on deals. Position yourself to attract the right partnerships. Back home, you have a 100% success rate if you go to the people who know you, you know them. I promise you, it works. I can get anybody an NIL deal. It don't matter if you're a female, black, white, Hispanic, it don't matter. You have a fan base back home. Start there. You're gonna get told no in this market because you're not from here. Okay? So, NIL is not about who gets lucky. It's about who understands the system. I have a saying, NIL is your name, your image, your likeness, your business. You have to own it, not me. Because if I get you a deal and you don't do the work, that's probably going to be your last deal, right? So, let's talk. Floor is open. Any questions? Concerns, thoughts, ideas? I know I ain't that good. But no, guys, seriously, though, when it comes to your NIL and inclusivity and wanting to be a part of the in crowd, you have to own what you want. Because you can't go to the table and negotiate a deal if you don't even know what you're trying to negotiate, right? You have to know what you're willing to take, not take what you want and what you don't want. Most people know what they don't want but can't express what they actually want. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I actually want from an NIL deal? And do I want to be seen on TikTok? Or do I just want to go get a deal and be a silent partner? That's a deal too. It's your deal. It's your way. You control that, okay? So I really want you guys to open the floor and ask questions because this is not a lecture. I know we're in school. It's not a lecture. I want you guys to feedback. Was that good? That was good? Okay. All right. Come on, guys. There we go. Raise your hand. That's what I'm talking about.
Hi, Reggie. My name's Krista. I'm one of the learning specialists that works here with football and some other sports as well. And I like how you're talking about building your legacy and who are you when sport ends or outside of your sport and that type of thing. But I've definitely met some athletes that don't see the end to their sport. Mm-hmm. So how do you navigate that conversation when you're talking about who do you want to be outside of this when they are very much in that box of I'm going pro and that's my life right now?
So because I was a former athlete, the question is great. You don't antagonize it. You say, okay, Tom Brady played 20-something years. LeBron is 22. They're going to retire soon. LeBron is 37 years old. What is he going to do afterwards? So whether you play 1 year or 20 years, the sport ends eventually. Remember Tom Brady got hit and he was injured for a long time because he was old? Okay, the sport ends. What's next? So then you sell them the plan, not a plan B. So in my space, I don't do plan Bs. It's just the plan. Hey, when this ends, this is the next phase. Versus have a fallback plan. Because my fallback plan, I'm not worrying about that until I got to fall back. But if I have my plan, all the athletes know. I play one game, the next week, another game. That's the season. So if you talk to them in seasons, hey, when your season ends, what's next? I talk to them in the language that I know they understand. I don't say, oh, well, what happens if you don't make it pro? Well, what happens if I do make it pro? That's usually my response. So talk to them in that space. You're welcome. Come on. She was going to just yell it.
I was. Hi, my name's Luna. I work for the CU Boulder Alumni Association, and me and my coworker travel for a lot of the sporting events and host donor dinners. And so a lot of donors will ask about NIL and how they can help student athletes. So what's the best way to navigate that when it comes to maybe they own a company or maybe they're just a donor who wants to help out?
Yeah. So it's two ways, right? Of course, we have the Buff Club, right? So they're probably familiar with that. But if they're talking to you guys, they obviously want to assist with the alum, right? So you got to talk to them about, hey, this is how we create more alum. This is how we help with retention. This is how you help us keep our athletes. Because if you bring in more alumni into the NIL space, it's a harder portal if the guys say, man, I'm tied in with the guy who's from the school, right? But you have to introduce them as the alum. Hey, I went to school here, this is what I've done, I want to put you on a path with me. And then assist them in creating a program through their company. We don't want to always ask the alum for money. They have access. So, hey, walk them through what it would look like to build a program for a specific athlete who might be in science. Like, paint the picture for them where they can see it, where they can feel involved. Everybody wants ownership, everybody. Come on.
Thank you so much for your words, your insight. I was a football player as well, and often, a lot of the times, NIL gets hacked for caring only about the predominant sports, football, basketball. I currently now work for USA Swimming, which is an Olympic sport.
Yep.
So I'm curious to know from your insights or your ideas, what do you feel is the best way to get Olympic sport athletes involved in NIL and for them to see that they are a lucrative business or a lucrative brand potentially within the NIL movement?
Yeah. So swimming is not super exciting, right? Right. But as a community program, as a service to a community, right? African Americans, we don't swim. What if a Olympic athlete created a program where they teaching how to swim? It's a twofold thing. You're now exposing them to a college athlete, which allows the kid to aspire to go to college, but then you're providing a service back to the community where you're not giving back, creating a business based on what you already do, right? So you gotta start looking at how can your sport impact the community first versus trying to be popular, right? Popularity don't make money, trust me. There's a lot of people with followers who broke, just letting you know. It's not how that works. It's all about impact. So how can you turn the Olympic sport into a community impact where there's a value? And there's grants for that too. So it works. You're welcome.
We have one question in the chat from Chris Campbell, who wants to know, when should an athlete begin looking to expand their visibility from a local level to a regional level?
When you've ran out of doors to knock on. You knock on every door in your hometown. And when you run out, it's almost like being in sports, right? Be where your feet are. Take the same approach. I can't leave here until I've exhausted every resource here. So for me, if I'm knocking on every door and I'm tracking all my metrics and all those things, then I can say, okay, I've exhausted this lane. Next one, right? So that's how you go from local to regional. But don't skip steps, because you won't go from a freshman to All-American just because you showed up. You gotta do a lot of work. So all sports relate to the same thing in life.
Hello, I'm Sean. I'm in the Paralympic side of the coin. Similar question to swimming. Curious what opportunities you see for Paralympians and athletes with disabilities, specifically because they're often perceived and presented in this like inspirational light, and it can be difficult not to fall into that trap and kind of give the people what they want and play into that trope, frankly. Yeah, just curious if you see any specific opportunities in that space.
There's a ton, right? You look at, there's a correlation between veterans and athletes, right? A lot of veterans are now para, right? Because they come from war, whatever it is, right? That's a great pair. Just like one example, why not pair the support of the troops with the support of the para athletes, and then create a brand for those kids who are in high school or college who aren't athletic, but they still fit the same description. That's the story. And you bridge the gap on how can a cool athlete get tied into somebody who maybe is getting overlooked in the classroom, right? And then you build that story around where it's still inspirational, but you monetizing it not from the subjects, but from the public. right? There are a lot of people who want to support causes, create a cause that allows the athlete to become the face of something new. That help? All right, keep going. Call me if you need me. One more. We got about 2 minutes. Good. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate everybody's questions and the insight and engagement. If y'all need me, I actually work here now, so I'm on the 5th floor, the 4th floor, and 3rd floor. Wherever I'm at, my feet stop, yeah, that's my office, so just find me. Thanks, guys.